I would like to invite our minister panel, Climate Mobility Champion panel, to get seated on stage. First, I would like to recognize His Excellency Dr. Maina Talia, Minister for Home Affairs, Climate Change and Environment of Tuvalu. Please, sir. Also with us today is His Excellency Regenvanu, Minister of Climate Change of Vanuatu. His Excellency Thoriq Ibrahim, Minister of Tourism and Environment of the Maldives. His Excellency Gustav Aitaro, Minister for State and Public Affairs of Palau. His Excellency Mosese Bulitavu, Minister for Environment and Climate Change of Fiji. And last, but very dear to my heart, His Excellency Konris Maynard, Minister of Public Infrastructure, Utilities, Transport, Information and Communication Technologies, and Post of St. Kitts and Nevis. Before we begin, we have another film that we would like to show. Are we ready?
Chamo-me Zilda, estou aqui Fernando. Moro aqui no posto de Savane. Eu moro aqui agora porque são nós que fomos delegados na beira para aqui por causa desse colônia. Destruíram-nos todos. Nós ficamos muito tristes. E vocês todos têm que sair nas casas e ficar no mesmo sítio seguro.
Bom, nós tivemos que nos separar, que a minha mãe fica lá em Savane e nós fomos aqui, primeiro, por causa dos estudos, e segundo, porque a minha mãe teve que ficar na Machamba para colocar uma mobilidade, ao menos para nós, para nos sustentar.
Para mim, a escolaridade me fez quebra grande. E a forma que eu estive, antes de vir a escolaridade, eu estive numa boa. A escolaridade, quando veio, eu tinha plasma, tinha televisor, tinha congelador. Da escolaridade, quando veio, aquele água tem deixado de sal, estragou tudo. Minha casa destruiu, chapa tudo saiu, o parede banou. Meu marido tinha banca grande ali atrás. Depois daí, o por tudo que estava aí, por tudo, acabou se molhar.
Na minha vida, a escolaridade destruiu-se quase. Sim. Porque essa casa aqui está muito restaurante. Desculpa. E a casa estava bem coberta, só que quando veio esse colônia, tinha que destruir tudo depois. Quase quando todo lembrar já está.
E eu faço vender peixe, se para conseguir minhas crianças ir na escola, se para conseguir andar também usar criança. Quero morar na Praia Nova, porque lá quando está morar lá fico muito à vontade. Perto de minha família, com vizinho a conversar, se as minhas crianças ir na escola, a voltar, me encontrar em casa, eu também a ver minha criança. Conversar bem. Quando estou a morar em Savane, fico muito enjolado, fico morar sozinha, as crianças não querem vir viver comigo.
Não é fácil alguém ficar distante de ti e você aqui. Por exemplo, nossa mãe, nós já tínhamos habituado a ficar com ele aqui, porque ela é que tomava nossa conta de nós aqui. Então, isso acho não é bom para nós, como nós crianças ficamos aqui sozinhos sem nossa mãe. E se houvesse condições para nós sair, futuramente nós gostaríamos de sair, sim. Porque aqui é muito perto do mar. Quando Achas, tem tipo lugares onde aproximam água?
A minha maior preocupação para melhorar a minha vida, penso principalmente na educação e em poder encontrar um emprego para poder, primeiro, estabilizar as condições para a minha família.
Daqui a 5 anos, gostaria de melhorar minha vida, ter uma casa boa, minha machamba também, melhorar meu filho, haver minhas filhas boas, alegres, haver serviço a trabalhar, meu marido também a trabalhar, para eu esquecer tudo que me aconteceu.
Thank you very much. This was testimony from Beira, Mozambique. And the family was relocated after the cyclone struck. And as you could see, they remain separated in different locations. This is a situation that many of the countries that we will hear from now are potentially facing, questions of having to move people and how this can be addressed, prevented, managed and accompanied. We look forward to hearing from our panelists this morning. And I would like to first invite His Excellency Dr. Maina Talia from Tuvalu to address us, and you're welcome to come to the podium.
Thank you so very much indeed for giving us the opportunity to say a few opening remarks. And speaking after Your Majesty, I think it's very difficult for us to follow suit. But after listening to all the high-level remarks, what I can say is that the problem that we are currently facing is that humanity have lost common sense. Your Majesty, Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Talofa. It is my honor to join you for this high-level opening of the inaugural of the Berlin Global Climate Mobility Forum. I thank the Global Center for Climate Mobility and the Robert Bosch Foundation for convening us at this pivotal moment. We live in the age of cascading crisis, where headlines are dominated by wars, geopolitical conflicts, and civil unrest. Each new flashpoint pushes deeper emergencies out of the view. What once shook the world now fades into silence, yet beneath this quiet drift, the climate crisis advances, steadily, relentlessly, reshaping our shared future. For Tuvalu and other low-lying atoll nations, destruction is luxury we cannot afford. Our land, our culture, our identities, and our values hang in the balance. Climate change-related sea level rise is not only eroding our shorelines, but also threaten the essence of who we are as peoples. Intensifying storms, frequent visits of wave surges, shifting rainfalls, and swelling tides that test our resilience daily. Though the climate crisis is not our making, and our contribution is almost next to nothing, yet it threatens the very survival of our nation. As leaders, we hold the responsibility to protect our people's rights, to remain in the place we call home, to adapt in place, to strive with dignity on our own lands. But we cannot do this alone. We need your help and support. We need steadfast and durable partners, those willing to hold hands and walk with us as we chart the uncertain path ahead. In this spirit, we welcome the continued support of the Global Center for Climate Mobility. Through the Rising Nation Initiative, it has brought us tools to better predict, prepare for, and respond to the climate impact that we are currently facing, from NASA-based projections to AI-powered weather forecasting systems. Together with the German Archaeological Institute, it is an assurance of preserving Tuvalu's cultural heritage, with the goal of securing UNESCO recognition for our land, traditions, and peoples as one living whole. When our Maritime Institute was forced to pause, the GCCM stepped in, enabling our young Tuvaluans to once again train and earn their livelihood as seafarers. That support laid the foundation for the community's climate adaptation facility, the CCAF, whose first grants are now being rolled out in Fiji, and more to follow. The GCCM has been instrumental in co-leading the Coalition for Addressing Sea Level Rise and its existential threat, CSET, which Tuvalu is proud to co-chair with Germany. And I had the opportunity to open the event in Nice with Excellency, the Minister from Germany. We look into this forum to help lay the groundwork for an ambitious UN General Assembly declaration next year, one that enshrines sovereignty, protects maritime zones, and establishes pathway for climate mobility grounded in dignity and rights. We are grateful to Germany for its principled partnership and leadership in the RNI, in the CSET, and beyond. Thank you. Indeed, we have seen what is possible. With UNDP and GCF, we reclaim land on Funafuti, an investment in staying. With Australia, we signed the Whalepili Union Treaty, securing adaptation funding while creating safe and dignified mobility pathways. This treaty creates rooms for our people to choose and to decide the future they want. With our Pacific neighbors, we adopted the Pacific Regional Framework on Climate Mobility, an historical step in regional solidarity. I share these examples to offer hope. With just a few committed partners, change is possible. First, an ironclad commitment to sovereignty and continuity for the most vulnerable nations. And secondly, scaled up adaptation finance that reaches communities directly with speed and purpose without string attached. Lastly, frameworks for secular climate mobility that protects rights, preserve cultural identity, and provide Tuvaluans with opportunities for education and employment abroad, while enabling their return to contribute to national development. These are not distant ambitions. They are within reach, with vision, courage, and collaboration and purpose. Let us move forward together with clarity of purpose and resolve. Whakawhai, I thank you.
Thank you, Minister Maina, Talia, for highlighting some of the concrete things that can be done. I think the magnitude of the crisis sometimes can feel paralyzing, and to showcase some very concrete examples and steps that you have taken is very much not just an act of hope, but I think an act of leadership. I would like to invite next His Excellency Thoriq Ibrahim from the Maldives to deliver his remarks.
Your Majesty, Excellencies, guests, and my colleagues. Let me start by extending my sincere gratitude to the Global Center for Climate Mobility and the Robert Bosch Shifton Foundation for hosting us and for their continued leadership in advancing the global climate agenda. It is a privilege to join you today as we continue to push our collective journey towards a resilient future. We meet not just as a nation or institutions, but as a partner in designing a global climate ecosystem that fosters progress on mobility issues. The ecosystem must be grounded in justice, shaped by resilience, and powered by collaboration. I bring you the voice of the Maldives, a nation that lives on the front line of climate change. Our country faces both slow onset and extreme weather events. From saltwater intrusion to coastal erosion and shifts in rainfall patterns. However, we do not define ourselves by the vulnerabilities alone, and our story is one of resilience. Despite our negligible contribution to global greenhouse gas emissions, Maldives is determined to lead the global climate solution. We recently updated our nationally determined contribution and continue to demonstrate strong political will. Maldives is determined to be an example of what ambition, leadership, and partnership can achieve, and that is if that is possible for one of the smallest countries in the world, then it can be possible for anyone to replicate and achieve. The climate mobility is not a distinct risk for small island developing states. Yet, many of us do not view mobility as simply a sign of crisis. We see it as a chance to build adaptive capacity, preserve the dignity of our people, and reimagine resilience. This transformation requires coalitions that are inclusive by design and include the voices of those who are often unheard. In the Maldives, every significant climate initiative, from the coral regeneration to resilient urban development, has been shaped by the voices of our youth, our women, and our island communities. These voices are central to shape our climate policy. We are building climate-smart infrastructure in our islands by combining renewable energy, green public spaces, and community-informed urban planning. Such green islands are becoming dynamic hubs where vulnerability turns into opportunity. At the same time, we acknowledge the broader context. Historical responsibilities cannot be ignored. Equity demands that the developed nations have the right to develop sustainably and to support needed to do so. Yet we do not stay idle waiting for the support. We are continuously stepping up. We want to work together as partners, innovators, and contributors to global progress. From leading SIDS advocacy, including the chair of the Coalition of Atoll Nations on Climate Change, to shape global adaptation agendas, Maldives play a key role in driving consensus and ambition. These efforts are only possible if we can mobilize finance that reaches those at the forefront of climate change. Our experience with finance provides shows that it is possible with partnerships aligned. We need a system that enables implementation. Finance must be fast, predictable, concessional, and tailored for small island realities. The challenges are immense, but so are the opportunities. The Maldives is committed to contributing knowledge sharing and building coalition that place people at the center. Let us leave Berlin with a renewed resolve and commit to drive climate ambition that leaves nobody behind. Thank you for your unwavering commitment. Let us move forward with compassion and a shared belief that no one should be left behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Ibrahim. I would like to now recognize His Excellency Mosese Bulitavu from Fiji. Please, sir, the floor is yours.
Your Majesty, Excellency, the former President of Botswana, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to address this distinguished gathering of leaders, champions and advocates for climate mobility. On behalf of the government and the people of Fiji, I extend our warmest greetings and deep appreciation for this opportunity to discuss the challenge that lies at the heart of our survival and resilience, the issue of climate mobility. Fiji, like many small island developing states, stands on the front lines of climate vulnerability. The impacts of climate change are already palpable, with more frequent and severe weather events such as tropical cyclones, floods, coastal erosions directly affecting our communities. Rising sea levels continue to pose a significant threat to our coastal areas where approximately 70% of Fiji's population resides. The reality is that climate mobility is no longer an abstract concept for Fiji. It is a lived experience of our people. It is our communities that have been forced to move from their ancestral lands, not out of choice, but due to the existential threat posed by climate crisis. Since 2012, Fiji has been actively engaged in the relocation of communities due to climate-induced disasters, and these challenges is only expected to grow. The government of Fiji has been proactive in addressing this reality. With rising sea levels and increasing coastal inundation, community relocations have become more unavoidable. Currently, 42 communities in Fiji are identified as needing planned relocation due to the impacts of climate change. Of these, 6 communities have already been relocated, with 2 more currently in the process of moving. To support these efforts, Fiji is pleased to be the first country to roll out the community's Climate Adaptation Facility, or CCAF, in close partnership with the Global Center for Climate Mobility, GCCM. This facility offers rapid response adaptation, grants up to $100,000 USD, empowering communities to act swiftly and lead their own adaptation journeys. As several grants projects get underway in the coming days, we invite Germany and fellow European partners to join the Robert Bosch Foundation in supporting this facility so that more communities across Fiji may access the resources they urgently need. We also appreciate the Green Climate Fund for exploring the localization of finance through CCAF in collaboration with the GCCM. CCAF complements Fiji's Climate Relocation of Communities, or CROC Trust Fund, designed to provide government assistance to our most vulnerable populations with financial and logistical support. CROC, which recently received additional support from the Government of New Zealand, is an important tool to address the long-term impacts of climate mobility. CCAF also complements broader and longer-term investment vehicles like the Pacific Resilient Facility, PRF, now being advanced by the Pacific Islands Forum. Comprehensive planning is essential to ensure coherence and complementarity, linking swift community-led action with national resilience efforts supported by global partners. To this end, Fiji is working with the GCCM through the Pacific Climate Mobility Initiative to develop a national blueprint, mapping climate mobility hotspots and aligning them with financing that they will require. We appreciate the GCCM's support via the PCMI as an implementation mechanism for the support for the Pacific Regional Framework for Climate Mobility. In this regard, our comprehensive risk vulnerability assessment methodology is a key tool in evaluating both economic and non-economical losses, ensuring that the process of relocation is guided by scientific evidence and community input. Fiji firmly believes that climate mobility should not only be viewed through the lenses of displacement and loss, but also as an opportunity for adaptation and resilience. By harnessing the potential of climate mobility, we can plan better, anticipate future risks, and create sustainable solutions that protect not only the lives, but also the cultural heritage and social structures of affected communities. The Berlin Climate Mobility Forum serves as a crucial platform to galvanize global support and momentum for climate mobility solutions. It is my sincere hope that through our collective efforts, we can forge a common agenda, build stronger partnership, and unlock the financing necessary to support those who are most vulnerable. Ladies and gentlemen, Fiji's story of climate mobility is a story of both vulnerability and resilience. It is a testament to the strength of our communities, the foresight of our government, and the solidarity of our global partners. As we head towards the Climate Mobility Summit during the UNGA 80, and as we prepare for COP30, let us remember, every delay has a cost. And every decision we make today will echo in the lives of millions tomorrow. Vinā Valevu, and I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Minister Bulitavu. It's my pleasure to invite His Excellency Ralph Regenvanu from Vanuatu to address our audience.
Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, distinguished panelists, esteemed guests, it's an honor for me to join you at this historic Berlin Climate Mobility Forum, where we gather united by the immediate call for action on climate mobility. And I want to say thank you to the Global Center for Climate Mobility for the invitation and for Robert Bosch Foundation for the generous hospitality. As Minister for Climate Change, Energy, Meteorology, Geohazards, Environment and Disaster Management for Vanuatu, I speak for a nation deeply scarred by the climate crisis. Rising seas, saltwater inundation, dying corals, fierce cyclones, relentless storms threaten not just our land, but the very soul of our communities. As Indigenous peoples, we are rooted in heritage and connection to place. Climate mobility unveils the human face of the crisis. By 2050, it is estimated that millions, especially in the Pacific, may be displaced by forces beyond our control. But we've been moving for many decades already. But what we're seeing now is large-scale inability to live in places we've lived for generations. This is new for us. We no longer are adapting, but we are now facing loss and damage on unprecedented scales. Our response must be swift, united, and global. International cooperation and scaled adaptation finance must flow directly to empower local resilience, protect livelihoods, and preserve culture through community-led initiatives. We stand unwavering in defending the right of our people to remain in their ancestral homes, anchored by local leadership and environmental stewardship. And yet, we recognize that mobility can also be a proactive act of adaptation, creating safe, dignified pathways that continue to foster community renewal and make our communities more resilient. So in this spirit, I was honored last Monday in Nice to sign on behalf of Vanuatu a memorandum of understanding with the Global Centre for Climate Mobility, and we look forward together to advancing the Communities Climate Adaptation Facility, or CCAF, which I've heard about from my colleagues in Fiji and Tuvalu, and the Pacific Climate Mobility Initiative, both vital steps towards empowering our communities themselves to lead their own adaptation journeys. The CCAF breaks new ground by bridging climate finance gaps with rapid, flexible grants that will enable communities to protect basic services, restore ecosystems, and safeguard their cultural heritage. The Pacific Climate Mobility Initiative will deepen our understanding and readiness to face climate-induced challenges while strengthening resilience across Vanuatu. Excellencies, in Vanuatu, our climate action is rooted in sovereignty, heritage, and justice. We call on Germany. You have been a champion of climate ambition and multilateralism to stand firmly with us. Your continued partnership is crucial to scaling adaptation finance, elevating local leadership, and forging climate mobility pathways grounded in dignity, safety, and human rights. It is critical at this stage for the NDC of the EU to be 1.5 aligned. It is critical also that Germany phase out fossil fuels, and the entire EU does the same. It is the kind of leadership we need now to ensure that we have some sort of comfortable future. So let us unite to make climate mobility a beacon of climate justice, where true resilience is built not only in policy and infrastructure, but in the empowerment of our communities and our people. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister Regenvanu. I would like to invite His Excellency Gustav and Aitaro from Palau to come to the podium.
Well, in Palauan culture, you don't dare stand between people and their lunch. So I will make my statement very short, give you guys to build up your appetite. Your Royal Highness, Excellencies, my distinguished colleagues, ministers, and colleagues in this room, the Republic of Palau is truly privileged to be a part of this auspicious group. For the first convening of the Berlin Climate Mobility Forum, I see familiar faces, long-standing friends of Palau, as well as new partners joining this growing climate mobility ecosystem. First, I commend the Global Center for Climate Mobility for its determined efforts
to nurture this space and extend our gratitude to the government of Germany and the Robert Bosch Foundation for your unwavering support in bringing this vision to life. We look upon this partnership of countries, development partner of the government of Germany, the Robert Bosch Foundation, and the Global Center for Climate Mobility as the Stiftung of our partnership in moving forward on this. For Palau, climate mobility is not an abstract policy challenge. It is a daily reality. Sea level rise and severe weather events are steadily eroding the very ground beneath our feet, like my colleagues have just mentioned earlier, threatening the livelihoods and the cultural fabric that bind our people together, much like the short film that we just witnessed. In the face of this, emerging social ecosystem offers hope, a foundation of shared knowledge, resources, and purpose. It is through this partnership where we can accelerate adaptation from village to a nation. The urgency is growing. In Koror, the commercial hub of Palau, and where most of our people reside in coastal communities, have no means to move inland away from the ever-encroaching sea. Enabling mobility is a long-term solution. But in the meantime, quick interventions, such as land reclamation, offer short-term immediate relief. The transition from coping to climate impacts to thriving in the face of it requires partnerships that advances three key enabling mechanisms. First, faster, more accessible, and locally rooted climate finance. Second, rights-based mobility pathways that honor dignity and choice. And third, strengthened international and regional cooperation. We look forward to strengthening our partnership with the Global Center for Climate Mobility to advance the Pacific Climate Mobility Initiative, to help us craft a national blueprint for climate resilient development and harnessing climate mobility. This effort will be informed by science, guided by traditional knowledge, and delivered at the community level. We appreciate the GCCM's support via the PCMI as an implementing mechanism for the Pacific Regional Framework for Climate Mobility. Last month, when the GCCM visited Palau, their early data exchange with the hamlets of Ngorong and Yubul, which are coastal villages of Koror State, sparked renewed local urgency. This is the kind of transformation we seek. First-hand witness, first-hand exposure, to bring our message to you, to convey to partners who are gathered here today and also into the international forum. We are also encouraged by the launch of the community's climate adaptation facility by providing rapid, direct support to the frontline communities. The CCAF empowers people to act quickly, procuring the tools, materials, and services they need to build resilience. They say that we are vulnerable, we are. We are resilient, we are. But if this continues, we'll be endangered, and if nothing happens, we'll be extinct. The locally led approach must be scaled and complemented by regional and global facilities. I will speak further on the transformative power of localized climate finance in tomorrow's panel, more details. But my distinguished colleagues, believe it or not, I was once a youth. Like our dear youth representative, Luisa. When we first started, we told them we'll give you hope. We told them we'll give you a future. The question now is, do they need hope? No, they want their future. So the question to us, can we give them the future? Are we preaching to the choir? Who's supposed to listen, to heed these questions? And this, I really commend this partnership, this foundation that we have built today will resonate our message to those who need to listen to this message, to give them their future, not give them hope. Let's be optimistic and give them their future they deserve. Excellencies, the first ever Sea Level Rise Summit last September in the UNGA was a watershed moment to galvanize solidarity and action to address the threats posed by rising sea. Palau reaffirms its support to the proposal for a transformative UNGA declaration on sea level rise in 2026. The Republic of Palau will be hosting the Pacific Island Forum, gathering of Pacific leaders in 2026, and I stand before you on behalf of our President to formally invite you to come down to Palau. Such a declaration should articulate clear international legal commitments to preserve maritime zones, protect the rights of displaced communities, and ensure dignified and safe mobility pathways. Such a declaration will be aligned with the 2023 Declaration on the continuity of statehood and the protection of persons in the face of climate change related to sea level rise, adopted by the Pacific Islands Forum. Sea level rise has a big impact in our economy. Yes, climate mobility, our exclusive economic zones are threatened. Our local revenue, our sustenance will be also threatened. For small island developing states like ours, the climate crisis is already rewriting the future for us. We are not writing our future for ourselves. We are not simply managing risk, we are defending our way of life. And we cannot do it alone. Ladies and gentlemen in this room, and this Stiftung partnership that we've created today, let's work together to ensure that we all exist. Because one gentleman, a high-level person in the UN, mentioned to us in Tonga, if you save the Pacific, you save the world. We are the threshold. This is why the Berlin Climate Mobility Forum matters. We need partners who are committed, partners who understand, partners that have come to our shores. We thank you for that. It is a space to connect, align, and accelerate. It allows us to converge around shared priorities ahead of critical milestones. The high-level political forum, the UNGA, and the climate COP, most of all, it reminds us we are not powerless. Nothing is impossible if we are partners. We are stronger together. When we act together, we can shape the path ahead. Palau is proud to contribute through our experiences, innovations, and local solutions to this global dialogue. Let this be not just the first forum, but the beginning of a deeper alliance for climate resilience, justice, and mobility with dignity for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Aitaro. As someone who has not visited the Pacific, I am very tempted by your invitation. I have had the pleasure to spend time in beautiful St. Kitts and Nevis with the beautiful people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and I am very pleased to invite His Excellency Konris Maynard to be our last panelist here at the podium.
Your Excellency, King of Lesotho, former President of Botswana, colleagues, ministers, and all the invited guests here, young people, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends. A pleasant good morning, still morning. It is in fact a great honor to join you today at this inaugural Berlin Climate Mobility Forum. I bring you warm greetings from the smallest independent nation in the Western Hemisphere, St. Kitts and Nevis, that at its widest point is only 5 miles and its narrowest a quarter mile, and from the wider Greater Caribbean, where resilience is not a slogan for us, it is our daily practice. Now, the Caribbean is a crossroads of cultures, of civilizations, of struggle and strength. For centuries, our people have moved by force, by trade, and now increasingly by climate. It is this new wave of movement, climate-induced displacement, that brings us together today. For our region, climate change is not a future possibility. It is a lived reality. Each year brings more intense storms, longer droughts, rising seas, and increasingly unpredictable weather. These forces threaten our economies, our cultures, and most of all, our homes. Now, in St. Kitts and Nevis, we have watched the sea eat away at cherished coastal communities. In Old Road Bay, we have had to resort to high coastal revetments blocking views and sea access we enjoyed for decades. At Half Moon Bay, a beach resort no longer has a beach. The imbalance in rainfall patterns is causing droughts, then followed by heavy rains which lead to landslides directly affecting our freshwater sources. Water scarcity has become more pronounced. We cannot provide 24-hour water supply. Where rainfall has decreased by nearly 20% over the last decade alone, and groundwater is increasingly saline. Communities have therefore faced years of water rationing, forcing us to now be constructing costly and energy-intensive desalination plants. Even our marine environment is shifting. Sargassum seaweed blooms now clog fishing harbors like Date Bay. Our beaches at our hotels threatening livelihoods and coastal ecosystems. Yet, we in St. Kitts and Nevis count ourselves among the fortunate. In recent years, across the region, countries have had to welcome families displaced from Dominica after Hurricane Maria, and from the Bahamas after Hurricane Dorian. Lives had to be shifted after Hurricane Irma that devastated Anguilla and the British Virgin Islands. These were climate migrants, neighbors forced to move due to storms so powerful they erased entire neighborhoods in a matter of hours. In Barbuda, the entire population was evacuated after Hurricane Irma to nearby Antigua. In Haiti, repeated droughts and floods continue to drive rural-urban migration and movement across borders. It must be clearly noted, this mobility is not always a choice. It is a matter of survival. Now, while our regional freedom of movement through the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, the OECS, and CARICOM has provided some flexibility, it is not always enough. We must move from ad hoc responses to structured, rights-based pathways for those displaced by climate impacts. In St. Kitts and Nevis, we have taken this challenge seriously. With the support of the Global Center for Climate Mobility, we recently hosted national consultations that engaged citizens, youth, farmers, and frontline responders. What we heard was clear. People want to stay, but they need support to do so. They need early warning systems powered by local knowledge. They need climate-resilient infrastructure and access to finance for adaptation. Also, when movement becomes necessary, they want dignity, support, and the right to return home. We are proud that St. Kitts and Nevis is the first Caribbean country to pilot the Community's Climate Adaptation Facility, CCAF. This innovative facility channels rapid funding to the most vulnerable, fishers, farmers, and coastal households, so they can adapt before they are forced to move. Through CCAF, we look forward to investing in slope stabilization in landslide-prone areas, in drought-resistant crops for our farmers, and in clean energy solutions that reduce emissions while building resilience. However, we cannot do this alone. We need global partners to match ambition with resources. We urge you to support CCAF and to invest in locally led solutions that protect people where they are and where they choose to go. Let us be clear about our goal: to protect the right to stay. Additionally, when mobility occurs, to ensure it is safe, it is planned and empowering, which means working together to develop regional mobility frameworks in the Caribbean, strengthen data systems to track displacement and risk, provide education and training to build resilience and opportunity, and ensure that those who move are welcomed and not marginalized. Above all, we must secure a future where St. Kitts and Nevis and the wider Caribbean remains a place our children and their children can proudly call home. A future where climate mobility is not a crisis of desperation, but a tool of resilience, of solidarity, and of human dignity. Let this be our shared commitment, that no one is left behind, that no voice is silenced, and that climate justice includes the right to belong somewhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maynard. We are out of time. We were hoping to have a round of questions and answers with you, but now I have the ball of being between you and lunch, and so I wish to invite those of you who don't have lunch plans to join us for a small bite next door. Stay with us for the afternoon, where we will hopefully have time for discussion and interaction. But for now, I would like to very much thank the distinguished ministers present here. You all spoke about the need for partnership. On behalf of the GCCM, I think we can only express how deeply we value your partnership. We deeply value the partnership of the Robert Bosch Stiftung and also the partnership of the German government that has enabled us to get all of this off the ground. And so we look forward to continuing the adaptation journey with all of you. It's not a one-off. It will be many iterations and continuing the discussion this afternoon. Thank you and enjoy your lunches.